Star Citizen is a scam. CIG are liars. These are the sorts of phrases you might expect to hear on the Star Citizen refund Reddit page. But there is one area where CIG have been lying to us for a long time, and I'm here to expose it. We are talking about the official minimum spec. We are focusing on the CPU. These CPU recommendations are crazy. A quad-core CPU, so 4 cores, no hyper-threading needed according to this. Intel Sandy Bridge or AMD Bulldozer. Now, we're going to ignore AMD Bulldozer because that is even worse than Sandy Bridge, but we're focusing on Sandy Bridge. I've gone out and spent my hard-earned money on this, a 2011 i5-24000S. It is a quad-core Sandy Bridge CPU. This is the official minimum spec. And the crazier thing is that when you scroll down, it's also recommended spec. I've been saying for a long time that this is crazy. There's no way that this will run properly. Here we prove that that is the case. We're going to compare this quad-core Sandy Bridge CPU to the actual minimum spec CPUs in my opinion. We've got, on the Intel side, an i7-8700, which has got 6 cores, 12 threads. And then for AMD, we've got the Ryzen 5 3600, again, 6 cores, 12 threads. They both got 16 gigs of RAM, running pretty slowly, 2400 mega transfers, and all 3 CPUs are using the GTX 1660 as the GPU. Before we actually get into some benchmarks, I just want to show you the loading. It takes a long time to load, and the first time when you load in, when you're compiling the shaders, it takes even longer, and you'll see some footage here showing you just how long it's taking for everything to pop in. It does take a very long time. And then once we were into Lorville, we did some benchmarking. Now, we tried to do some benchmarking, I should say, because I could not get around Lorville consistently. Most of the time where I loaded in, I could only get to the train, and the train just wouldn't appear. I could see other people going into the train and disappearing from my screen, but I myself couldn't get on the train. So this represents half of the Lorville run for the Sandy Bridge CPU, and you'll see it's just miles behind the actual minimum spec CPUs, which, to be fair, have dropped below 30 because Lorville is now really hard to run, but very playable, very usable for the other two. Arc Corp, it's exactly the same situation. We've got a strong 11 FPS average. Again, the other two CPUs are totally fine, very playable, but the official minimum spec is completely unplayable. You can't play the game at 11 FPS. Onto some slightly more forgiving benchmarks. We've got the Horizon Rooftop, and we've got a nice 16 FPS. We're approaching sorts of frames where you might be able to play the game, but still you can't play the game at that. And the render thread scene that I've got where you look across Horizon, heavy on the render thread. 8 FPS here for the official minimum spec. Not ideal. Quantum travel though. Oh, look at this, 36 FPS. We are free from the cities, and you're getting fine. That would be fine. If the rest of the results were fine, you would be able to go into quantum travel, but the likelihood is you won't get out of the city. You'll have turned it off by then anyway. And finally, the cherry on top, we're in space, nothing is going on, and we are hitting nearly 40 FPS. Incredible. Let me show you a bounty hunting mission that I tried to do. We're in the teens, but this is completely unplayable, and yeah, we have proven here that CIG's minimum spec are completely wrong, and I don't know why they've never updated this. I don't know whether they're still thinking that they're going to aim to support these CPUs, but there's just no way that's ever going to happen. The amount of optimization would be insane to get this game running on a quad-core Sandy Bridge CPU. And remember, again, the Bulldozer from AMD of this generation are much worse. My hope is that CIG will, now that I've proven to be liars, they are actually proven liars, my hope is that they will update this page, because this doesn't help anybody. Like I said, from my point of view, I would recommend 8th Gen i7 from Intel. I've tested the i5 in the past, and it's a bit too slow now. Or the Ryzen 3600 or 3000 series upwards. They are the minimum that I want to go into this game with. In the cities, they will hover around the 30 mark. You will drop below them in parts, but they are playable for Star Citizen everywhere. But the official minimum spec is a lie.